Let's now talk about foreclosure defense as a remedy to people that can't afford their mortgage payments. First of all, I find that most people don't even realize that foreclosure defense is an option for them. They figure, well, I haven't made my mortgage payments, there's nothing that I can really do, so why bother answering a foreclosure defense? There's really no legal requirement that you do answer a foreclosure, but if you don't, the foreclosure is going to happen fairly quickly. Maybe in a few months, it's going to go through foreclosure sale. So, for example, if you don't file an answer, the first thing the lender is going to do, or the lender's attorney is going to do, is ask for a default judgment. A default judgment is basically telling the judge that since there's no answer filed, it's the equivalent of admitting everything. And if they admitted everything, we can go straight to foreclosure sale. The other thing I find people do is they may file an answer that's in a letter of form that goes something like this. I lost my job, I tried to work out a short sale, the lender wouldn't accept it, and so here I am in foreclosure. Well, that may be an excuse why you're in foreclosure, but it's not a legally sufficient defense. What I'm talking about when I talk about defenses has little to do with what you've done and more to do with what the bank has done, or more importantly, what they haven't done. What I find is almost all lenders have not really kept their paperwork straight, don't really have everything in order. Sometimes they've actually lost the note. Sometimes they only have a copy of the note. Sometimes they don't have it, period. Sometimes they've sold or assigned their note and don't have the assignment paperwork recorded. It's these types of things that I can use to make the bank, basically what I'm doing is making the bank prove each and every element of their case. And one of the elements of the case is to prove that not only are they the owner of that note, but they have the legal right to foreclose on that note and mortgage. If they're not able to do that because they don't have their paperwork in order, that can sometimes significantly delay or postpone the amount of time it will take for them to foreclose. Well, how does that help you, the client? Well, if you're trying to work on a short sale, you now have the time you need to find a buyer. If you're a realtor and you're trying to find a buyer for a client, you now have the time you need to find a buyer to potentially work out a short sale. See, short sales or deeds in lieu of foreclosure can still be accomplished in the foreclosure process itself. The other thing I find that foreclosure defense can kind of supercharge all the remedies, from modification to deed in lieu of foreclosure to short sale. And the way it supercharges it is now the bank has a lot more incentive to negotiate with you. Why is that? Because now they're kind of tied up in a long, expensive legal battle for them. And so now they may be more apt to give you a significant modification to keep you in that house. They may be more apt to accept a short sale or to accept the deed and waive their right to pursue a deficiency judgment, because now it's in their financial best interest to do so, because by not doing so could mean that they're stuck now in a long, expensive legal battle where they're continuing to pay the taxes, insurance, costs, legal fees. So it can kind of supercharge all the remedies. Now, let's talk about a couple things where you would have a foreclosure defense. If you see in the case caption that the mortgage company or the lender that's foreclosing is not the lender you originally took out the mortgage with, there's a good chance you have a foreclosure defense. If you see that there's a trustee, for example, Deutsche Bank as trustee of the asset-backed security series so-and-so, what that means is your lender has pooled your loan in with a group of a bunch of other loans and turned that into what's called an asset-backed security. So your loan is now in a pool of loans, much like in a mutual fund, you invest in a number of stocks rather than just one. Well, now your lender has sold off that pool of loans to a group of lenders or a group of investors, or maybe just one investor. But many times, it's difficult even for them to show who the owner of that is, and one of the elements they have to prove is who actually owns that mortgage. That's not so easy for them to do in that situation. If there's a count in your complaint, foreclosure complaint, that says this is an action to reestablish a lost promissory note and mortgage, that's another sign that you have some defenses that I can, gain some concessions on. If you don't see a note attached to your complaint, which is a legal requirement that they not only attach the mortgage, but the actual physical note. Well, if they just attach the terms of your note and not the actual note, you also may have a defense. Now, there's so many things that I look for that it's too many to go through on this tape. I'm just scratching the surface. Bottom line is, everyone, I think, could benefit from foreclosure defense. Whether you actually think you have a defense or not, foreclosure defense can really supercharge all the other remedies, and it's a rare instance where I have a foreclosure where I can't find any defenses at all.